Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, dear viewers, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. A very warm welcome to all our dear viewers to today's religious dialogue. Today we will be discussing an important topic, and that is preparing for our final abode. Death is a topic that we don't wish to discuss and we don't like to talk about often until we find ourselves confronting the reality of a loved one passing away, and then suddenly we find ourselves bewildered as what to do. Today we will inshallah discuss this topic so that we are prepared and have some understanding of this most important journey that we all have to undertake, and that is the most certain journey of our life. Joining me for the discussion today, we have with us Hujjatul Islam wal Muslimin, Samahat Syed Mohammad Razavi, who is the resident scholar and the head of the Religious Advisory Board at the Shia Islamic Education Society in London, where the Syed receives inquiries in regards to family and marital issues. Salamun alaikum, Syed.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
We are also joined as guest of the week. We have with us Shaykh Hayder Shirazi, who is very famous for all his translation work of all the Shia content that you may find online on Zainab.org and abrar.com. Assalamu alaikum, Shaykh Hayder, and thank you so much for being with us and giving us your time at a very short notice.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Thank you very much.
Sheikh, if I can start with you, of course, as I said, that oftentimes we don't discuss this topic, and we are unprepared when a loved one is going through the passing away from this world. What are we supposed to do when a loved one or a family or a relative is about to die and is on their final deathbed?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Well, death is a reality that has been mentioned a lot in the Holy Quran, and also it is among the fundamentals of our belief system, the belief in the Day of Judgment, Qiyamah. And Qiyamah, it starts from death. Looking into Quran, Surah Al-Mulk, الَّذِي خَلَقَ الْمَوْتَ وَالْحَيَاةَ. There the Almighty states that it is He who has created death and life. So death is first. So He has created death first and then life. خَلَقَ الْمَوْتَ وَالْحَيَاةَ. Now someone who is dying, he is on the deathbed. The term that we use is muhtadar, or in the state of ihtidar. That is, he is on the deathbed. So whenever the hospital announces, oh, we know for ourselves that the person, he's not going to survive, there are some ahkam that are mandatory, wajib upon those who are around the person, and it is wajib. And if we do not abide by them, we have committed a sin. The first of the hukm or the ahkam that we have is that we have to face the person on the deathbed, the dying person, towards the Qibla. That is, his feet should be facing the Qibla such that if he sits up, he is facing the Qibla. That is wajib. We have to do it. And even if the person is in the hospital and they announce and they say that he won't survive, he will depart, you tell the hospital that it is a religious requirement that he has to face the Qibla, and finding Qibla nowadays is very easy from your devices. Just go on Google Maps or just find my Qibla and face the person towards the Qibla. That is wajib. Among the other ahkam that we have, it's to remind him of his fundamentals, because it is one of those hours, because on two occasions Iblis, he attacks. One when we stand in prayer, and secondly when we are on the deathbed. It is that time when he can catch and mislead us and deviate us from the right path, which is his sworn promise to the Almighty, La أغوينهم أجمعين, where he says that I will definitely mislead. Now, at the time of death, because a person he is dying, and if he dies faithless, it is a win-win for the for Iblis, and if he dies faithful, he is successful. قد أفلح المؤمنون. So that what is upon us who are living by the person who is dying is face him towards the Qibla, sit by his bedside, and keep repeating La ilaha illallah. He is totally aware, he is in his full senses, he can understand, he can perceive. We have to make him remember, we can make him remind. If he can speak up, good. If he doesn't, also doesn't matter. So you can hold his hand or you can put your hand on his chest, keep rubbing and informing him of La ilaha illallah, belief in the one God, belief in Rasulullah. The Imams remind him, and on the day of judgment. So these are the initial tips and reminders that is upon us.
Thank you very much. Of course, there are many, many mustahabbat that we need to do besides a dying person. Thank you for giving us a brief regarding this. Syed, what are the problems that you see that the community faces when it comes to preparing for death of themselves or their loved ones? So, following on from what the Sheikh explained, what I said is that what are the issues that you see that the community faces when it comes to preparing for death, whether of themselves or of their loved ones?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I would like to start my discussion with the verse of Holy Quran, Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. We belong to Allah and we return to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As Shaykh Hayder Shirazi mentioned, this is one of the most certain event in our life that is going to happen, and unfortunately we are the least aware and least prepared for this in our community. Only recently I was being asked question at my center about the issues related to death, because there was a person who was well known in the community passed away. So when a well known person passes away, a lot of people who even were not expecting to come to the funeral, somehow they come, and then that raises a lot of questions. And personally, I have traveled a lot and gone to remote places and witnessed myself that the bodies of Muslims, Shia Muslims, are buried not properly and not in even in the right direction of Qibla. Uh, as Shaykh Hayder Shirazi was explaining about Muhtadar, that there are rules and regulations about that when a person is dying, he has to be faced in direction of Qibla. So what does mean? What does it mean facing Qibla when you are dying? Facing Qibla when you are dying, or the person is dying, is that his back of his feet should be facing Qibla. So if he tries to sit up, he would be facing the Qibla. So this is remembered by many Sunni or Shia. I've seen it in all different circles, that people just consider that this is the facing of Qibla, and they forget the rulings after Ghusl and before Ghusl, and they continue to do the janaza in the same direction, and they even end up burying the person in that manner. So this shows that we need to create awareness amongst the people, because this is one of the wajibat and obligations that we need to learn and be aware of. Facing the Qibla before death and before washing the dead body is one way and facing the Qibla after the washing of body is a different way. Uh, before ghusl, the feet have to be facing the Qibla direction, and then once the body is washed, then the body should be laid down on his back or her back, and the face has to be turned in the right direction of Qibla, and slightly body also tilted the way it is tilted in the graves as well. So the face does not come back in a straight position. So these are the rules and regulations that we have to follow. And of course, this subject is so vast that we cannot discuss everything in one program, because there are issues regarding mustahabbat, du'as, prayers, obligations of the deceased, obligation of the people who are attending, at what in what status they are supposed to be, the funeral prayers, the burial. So there are so many issues. I think we should have several programs on this issue. So
Certainly.
all of the parts are covered.
Sure. A follow-on question from what you just said, Syed. What is the solution? Because for a layperson, these things are too much to remember. And at the time when a loved one is passing away, um, we can't open books and start reading these things there and then while we are grieving or in the process of preparing. What is the solution? Should there be committees set up that we can contact, or what is the solution for the community?
I think we should take advantage of the modern gadgets and facilities and applications. It has become much more easier compared to what used to be before, because in the past people had to go and attend physical classes. Nowadays it is even possible to teach uh, via media and show exactly what is supposed to be done. And there are certain ahkam that require visual training.
Sure.
Wuzu, salat, uh, the funeral, the washing of the dead body, are amongst those, and Hajj are the issues that require visual training. And I think Ulema should be willing, and the organization should be willing to prepare and invest more on preparing the right teaching applications and lessons through internet, through social media, so people can become aware of their responsibility. And especially now, there are Muslims growing in remote places of the world, and how would they know? How would they learn? This is the best way to educate and teach them. I remember around 20 years ago, there was a lady who used to live in London, and she died in St. Lucia. No, she died in London, and she wanted to be buried in St. Lucia, and there was nobody to do the funeral. So Alhamdulillah, community got together and collected the funds, and I went all the way to St. Lucia and did the burial of that lady. And with the barakah of this lady's death and burial, the Muslim community managed to get a qabristan or a graveyard uh, for the Muslim community there. And Alhamdulillah, it was a great effort that benefited the whole Muslim community.
Thank you for sharing this. Very interesting. Of course, in the interest of time, we must move on, sadly. I come back to you, Sheikh, with my next question, and that is, you mentioned ihtidar, the process of death. What actually happens? Do we have riwayat that actually describe the journey or the process of ihtidar and the process of passing away? What do we see at the time of death, Sheikh?
Yeah, now the best source is the Holy Quran, and on a number of occasions, Quran does talk about this. Now, At the time of death, we've got two people that are talking to the muhtazar or the dying person. One is us who are around him, and the others who are talking are the angels. Now, the angels we don't see. So, this is certified by the Holy Quran. Now, if the best source or the easiest source for you to access would be Suratul Qiyamah. In Suratul Qiyamah, the Almighty initially, when He talks about the Day of Judgment, then He comes to this point because Qiyamah starts by from death. That is the easiest point. And even in that hadith that we have from Hazrat Fatima alayha salam, she says there are 1,000 stops and stations ahead of you. The easiest and the simplest of that is death. For us, death is the most difficult. She says that you be with us, we will be with you, we will save you, we will protect you, we will guard you in all of these scary stops and stations. Now, Quran says in Surah Al-Qiyamah, "Kalla idha balaghat taraqi." Taraqi, it's here, the throat, which is the tarquwa. When you see the bone that we have in the throat, that is called tarquwa. So the process that Quran mentions, it's that the departure of the soul or the seizing of the soul, it starts from the feet, it goes all the way towards the belly, towards the chest, and the last part, it's the throat, إِذَا بَلَغَتِ التَّرْقُوَةِ. And the last part of the body from where the soul is seized are the eyes. So the eyes, they are witnessing, they are seeing everything that is unfolding on me until the soul is taken away from me. Quran says, Kalla إِذَا بَلَغَتِ التَّرَاقِي. That is, nay, when it comes up to the throat. وَقِيلَ مَنْ رَاقٍ. And it will be said, now what is the cure and how will it be cured? وَظَنَّ أَنَّهُ الْفِرَاقِ. And there he would see that definitely he is departing from this world. وَالْتَفَّتِ السَّاقُ بِالسَّاقِ. Says that the calf of the feet, it just falls apart. One of the mustahabbat that we have, when a person has died, you tie the two toes together so that look, it is not bad. So even at that point, the body has to be dignified when someone looks at the body. So when you have the feet fallen apart, it's not a nice look. So you tie the two toes together so that even the body is dignified, because the body of a Muslim, just like a Muslim himself, is dignified, is honored, and all that honor has to be observed and maintained until his burial. That is wajib. وَالْتَفَّتِ السَّاقُ بِالسَّاقِ. Quran says that you would see that the feet, the calves, they have fallen apart. That is when death has taken place and he has passed away. Now, it was mentioned that it's we talking to him and then the angels talking to him. The angels also, they are in two groups, depending on who the person was, faithful or faithless, believer or non. Accordingly, the angels will be there. If it is a mu'min who is departing, it's the angels of Allah, angels of mercy, who will come to greet him. And if it is a faithless or a wrongdoer, a sinner, or someone who has been an oppressor, a munafiq, for them it is the angels of chastisement and azab, punishment, who will be coming to greet. And greeting, what Quran says, they will be boxed and lashed and on their faces, on their back, and that is how the soul will be seized. For mu'mineen, it is like a drink that will be given to them. They will be sedated and they would not feel the pain of death at all. That is how they will be greeted from this point onwards.
Thank you, Shaykh. Sayed, from what the Shaykh was mentioning about this journey, and of course it's a very interesting journey when we read the riwayat, there is one narration that always catches my attention, and that is when Hazrat Salman al-Farisi spoke to a person from the grave. So all these realities have been explained to us by the holy Ahlebait. It is the most certain reality, death, and it is the beginning of of the eternal life, if you like. Yet most of us are scared of it and we fear it. Why is that, Sayed?
Again, what we are afraid of is because of not being aware of it. And unfortunately, we call ourselves Muslims, but majority of us don't even know or understand the aim of their life, who they are. They have not recognized themselves. There is a narration from Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wasalam. Best way of recognizing your Lord is recognizing yourself, who you are, where did you come from, where are you going to go in future. And majority of the Muslims don't even know uh, about this, and that's why they are afraid of dying. They are afraid of the dead body. They are afraid of. These questions do come up because a person has died. The same person who used to be loved and adored by the family member, suddenly they become scared of him or her because they cannot bear the presence of the dead body in the house. And this is all due to lack of knowledge and lack of awareness in the community. So it is our responsibility and duty that we should educate, and people should not be afraid. There are two parts here. Uh, Ulama are ready to educate, but the least attractive subject for majority is this, and there will be very few volunteers who would be willing to put their name down for burial or washing the dead body and learning about funerals and things like that. And so the conclusion is that we have to educate, we have to make people understand who we are. We were created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala initially in metaphysical dimension, then we were transferred in this physical dimension, and we are for a short period of time in this physical dimension. And when the soul is when the soul departs this our creation of physical dimension and goes into metaphysical dimension, we are considered to be dead. In other words, death does not exist in Islamic teachings, and not only Islamic, in all divine teachings, Christians and Jews and Muslims, basically all Ahl Kitab believe that we are transferred from physical dimension to metaphysical dimension, and that is called death, which is actually not death, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala never created us to live in physical dimension forever. He created us to continue our journey in metaphysical dimension that he had created us in initially.
So death is just a transfer from this life into to the eternal life, into another dimension, as you mentioned, Sayyid. Thank you for explaining that. Sheikh, if I come back to you then, the journey of death, I mean, when somebody is dying, what do they feel, Sheikh? Because oftentimes we hear that Malakul Maut comes and Malakul Maut is a scary figure. What is the person who is dying experiencing? Do they experience pain? What is the process that they go through? And we will
Yeah,
eventually have
Quran.
to go through as well.
Yeah, Quran has three ayat over here. Says that depending on the person who is dying, for general public, it is that tatawaffahum malakul maut. Malakul maut seizes the soul. That is, the angel of death will seize the souls of the general audience. Now, those who are higher in rank, their malakul maut has no access to them, and he cannot seize the soul of them. For them says that tatawaffahum rusulana. That is, our Rusul, our special ambassadors and envoys who are higher in rank than Malakul Maut, they come to seize the soul of that person. And the third grade, it's the highest rank, it is Allahu yatawaffal anfus hina mautiha, that neither Malakul Maut nor the special envoys, but Allah Himself, He seizes the souls of those special mu'mineen. So over here we've got three ranks. Now, for mu'mineen, it is an easy transfer because we've got loads of ayats and then teachings of ma'asumeen that give us so much of joy and hope. الذين تتوفاهم الملائكة طيبين يقولون سلام عليكم ادخلوا الجنة بما كنتم تعملون, one of the ayat. Now for the believers, Allah will send the angels in the good form, the kind, the good ones. Because even angels, we've got angels who are violent, angels who are tough and rough, like Surah Al-Mursalat talks about them. Says that the angels, tayyibin, they will be sent to them, yaqulun. The angels will say, salamun alaykum. That is that greeting to them. With that salam, they will die, their souls will depart, and then it will send, udkhulul jannata bima kuntum ta'malun, enter the heaven as it was promised and as you knew. Now, again, if you see Surah Al-Rahman, there says, falawla, I think Surah Al-Waqi'ah, there says, falawla idha balagatil hulqum, that is when the soul reaches the hulqum, that is the throat. وَأَنْتُمْ حِينَئِذٍ تَنْظُرُونَ, you will be seeing yourself. وَنَحْنُ أَقْرَبُ إِلَيْهِ مِنْكُمْ وَلَكِنْ لَا تُبْصِرُونَ, and we were very close to you, although you did not see. So all these are ayat that we have. Now, when we أما إن كان من المقربين, if he was among the near ones, فروح وريحان وجنة النعيم, that he will be blessed with all those blessings and heavens. فسلام لك من أصحاب اليمين وأما إن كان من المكذبين الضالين, and if he was among those who were the wrongdoers, فنزل من حميم وتسلية جحيم إن هذا لهو الحق اليقين. Now over there Allah continues and talks. One of the ashab of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam is Haris. Now those of you who've been to Iraq, especially in summer, it's a hot place. Temperatures could soar to 50, 55 Celsius. One day, Haris, he rushes to see Amir al-Mu'mineen at midday. And generally, people in these hot countries, they have a nap in the afternoons. So he rushed in that hot heat to see Amir al-Mu'mineen, knocks at the door and says, yeah, Imam opens the door and says, yes, Haris, what is it? What brought you here at this time? What was the rush? Haris says, nothing, Ya Ali. The desire to see you, I could not wait until any later. I said, I have to go now and see you, Ya Ali. Nothing else. Imam says, Haris, this desire, this muhabbat, this love that you have towards us, you will see how we will pay it back to you. Man yamut yarani, whosoever dies will see us. He will see me. Says min mu'minin aw munafiqin, may he be a believer or a hypocrite, everyone will see us at the time of death. Mu'mineen, they will see and say that, oh, all what was said to us by these Maulanas, by the members and all the podiums, everything was true, was haq, was right. It is Amir al-Mu'mineen who has come to greet us. Imam says that we will definitely be there by the bedside of everyone who dies. Faithful or faithless, mu'mineen will be happy to see us. Kuffar and mushrikeen, they would say, Ya laytani kuntu turaba. We wish we were dust. We wish we also were among the adherents of Ali and Amir al-Mu'mineen. One of the names of Amir al-Mu'mineen is Abu Turab. The ayah in Quran says, Ya laytani kuntu turaba. I wish I was dust. Now, I was dust means I never came into existence. Now, one of the Mufassirin, he says that Ya laytani kuntu turaba means the person who is dying, there he would say, I wish I was with Abu Turab. I was with Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. So this is what he will see. So two interactions. One interaction from those who are living to the dead. Second interaction, it is the angels to the person dying. And then it is the coming of the Ahlebait, the Imams, the Prophet, to greet and to seize the soul of that person.
Beautifully explained. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make all of us be amongst those who pass away faithfully, firmly on our faith and on the love of Ahlebait alayhimus salam. Syed, I come to you following on from the point that Shaykh Hayder mentioned about the love of Amirul Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, and how that helps us at the time of death and in our grave and in the after life journey. What do we need to do so that we can be prepared for the coming journey? And if you can explain to us the concept of baqiyatus salihat that we need to have under our belt to have a comfortable onward journey after this life.
Yes, one of the important points that especially a Shia Muslim, a follower of Ahlul Bayt has to remember is that when a child is born, Azan and Iqama is done in the ears of the child. And so from the right at the beginning of the uh, physical dimension of our life is the reminders about Ahlul Bayt alayhi salatu wasalam. And there is a reason for it, and because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to request us to remember them throughout our life, not only throughout our daily life. In every salat, if the salawat on Muhammad and Ali Muhammad is not there, Sunni and Shia both believe that that prayer is not accepted. So there are reminders about Ahlul Bayt and Salatu Salam is extremely important. And then when we do khutbas in Jum'ah or A'yad, we again repeat our allegiance to all the prophets and imams, and we name each one of them. And the same procedure is done when the person dies. So the talqeen is done before burial, talqeen is done after burial. These are all reminders, and you may have all witnessed that, especially when the body is laid in the grave, uh, relatives are asked to put their hands on the opposite shoulders of the mayyit, and when the name of the person is repeated, they are supposed to shake. The person is died, but according to narrations, uh, his soul or her soul is witnessing these questioning, and they are witnessing what they couldn't see before death. So they are more, actually the awareness is more at that time, and the soul remains around the grave and witnesses all these happening. So it is important for us to be connected, and this is why our elders, our holy imams, have repeatedly requested us to recite salawat, remember Ahlul Bayt alayhi salatu wasalam, and the aim has been mentioned in talqeen that you will be asked, the question will be definitely asked, and without their awareness you will not be able to achieve anything. Even they are known as Qasimun Nar wal Jannah. Ahlul Bayt alayhi salatu wasalam, one of the titles they have is Qasimun Nar wal Jannah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given them this authority and blessing that they will be the divider of the Nar and Jannah, because whoever is able to achieve the shafa'at of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salatu wasalam will go through, and whoever does not recognize them, he will not or she will not go through. So may Allah keep us on the right path and amongst the true followers of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salatu wasalam throughout our life, as we are reminded constantly.
Ilahi, Ameen. Sheikh, I come to you earlier to an answer to your first question. You mentioned that the shaitan comes to attack at the time of ihtidar and death. What are some of the hindrances that can happen that stop us from dying faithfully?
Yeah. Now, an easy answer would be attachments to this dunya. The sins that we commit, they all become a hindrance at the time of death. Disobedience to parents becomes a hindrance. as a result of which a person he may die faithless and he would lose his faith. We have a dua, it's called dua adila. It is said that you recite this dua by the person who is dying and remind him of his faith. And towards the end of the dua also it says, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-adilati inda al-maut. Allah, I seek your protection from switching from Iman at the time of death, because that is the time, the hour where Shaitan, not only himself, in full force with all his envoys, ambassadors, family, children, grandchildren, all of them, they come somehow to seize the soul of this person. Now, there is an incident in the study circle of Imam Khomeini, one of the students there. He used to say that he was a bright student, very bright student, and he was on the deathbed. Ustad, he goes there in Mashhad to by the bedside of this student and says, Qul la ilaha illallah, say la ilaha illallah, which is the easiest recital and it can be uttered even with a closed mouth. Says, in response to say la ilaha illallah, the student says, don't break it, I will not say. Now the Ustad, he is shocked. All the students around, they are shocked that what is this happening? I ask him to say La ilaha illallah and he cannot. In reply, he says, I won't say, don't break it. He was a little bit better. When his health got better, he called his wife and says, bring my watch. She brings the watch and then he holds the watch and smashes it, breaks it with his own hand. Now he says that when you was asking me to say La ilaha illallah, Iblis was present here. He was showing me this watch that was so dear to me, and he was saying that if you say La ilaha illallah, I'm going to break the watch. So to protect that attachment, that watch that I had, and I loved so much, Iblis was blackmailing me like that. So when I got better, I asked my wife to bring the watch, so I break it myself. So at the point of death, that attachment to that watch is not there, and he doesn't have anything to mislead me. So again, when his health deteriorated, and the Ustad says, I said, Qul la ilaha illallah, say la ilaha illallah, he could say it and he died on Iman. So these things are facts. So any kind of an attachment that we have to this dunya, and the sins also that we do, they all become a hindrance at the time of death. So now a top up to what Maulana just explained also. Now we have been created forever, khulud, that is eternity. Quran is an ayah says, وَمَا جَعَلْنَا لِبَشَرٍ مِّن قَبْلِكَ الْخُلْدِ أَفَإِن مِتَّ فَهُمُ الْخَالِدُونَ. If you want to get to that khulud, that eternity, that everlasting life, we have to die. It is with death we will achieve and arrive at that khulud and that eternal life. Now, again, another top up to what was mentioned throughout says the Ahlul-Bayt alayhimus salam, their presence and how will they save us and protect us. A hadith, I think it is from Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam, says that haramun ala ruhin أن تفارق جسدها حتى ترى محمدا وعليا وفاطمة وحسنا وحسينا بحيث تقر عينه. Says it is haram, forbidden on a soul to depart from this dunya and not see the Ahlul Bayt. That is, they will definitely see them. And when they see them, they will be happy. It will be a gladdening of and a delight, a joy for their sight, for their heart, that they will see the Ahlul Bayt and they will depart from this dunya by that beautiful vision and sight, and that is the being greeted at an arrival at Barzakh
That's
by the Ahlul Bayt.
so beautifully explained. Sayed, many believers, I suppose, would be waiting for the moment of death just to see these holy personalities. But moving on, we are down to our last 15 minutes now. I would like to ask you, Sayed, are there any regrets that you have seen people go through at the time of death? Simply because sometimes we live our lives without giving much consideration and thought to that moment of passing from this world onto the next life. And so sometimes we are complacent when it comes to huququllah or huququl ibad. What are the regrets that you have seen people go through at the time of dying?
Well, as Maulana Shaykh Hayder Shirazi was mentioning, that uh, it is important to remember what we believe. And as I mentioned before, it's extremely important to remind ourselves what our belief is in Ahlebait alayhi salatu wasalam. And one of the most certain point that is mentioned in hadith and narrations is that we will, especially a lover of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salatu wasalam, will see these great personalities welcoming them into the metaphysical or eternal dimension when they depart from this world. So we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, may Allah count us amongst those who will be welcomed by these personalities. And I have personally seen cases of people leaving this world and they were totally not a believer, but the family and elders were working on them to be guided to the right path, and they were not resisting, but they didn't have the courage to say ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah. And this person who had this belief in their heart called the relatives who were Muslim, and the person was not Muslim. Can you please repeat what you used to repeat during my lifetime? Because I am seeing the personalities that you used to mention. They are ready to welcome me. I just need to repeat this. And they repeated the words Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, Ashhadu anna Aliyan wa awladuhu al-ma'sumina hujajullah, and closed their eyes and died. So I said to them, what a nice way to leave this world. They did not have even an opportunity to commit sin, and they repented sincerely by witnessing these great personalities, because they come uh, to welcome those people who were sincere. And this reminds me of also an incident that took place in my family. My grandfather used to be a poet, and he was poet of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salatu wasalam. When near his death, he wrote a poem. He told family members, and this poem is written on his grave. Then when the angels come to ask about my faith and my aqidah, please tell them that I spent all my life in creating awareness about Ahlul Bayt alayhi salatu wasalam, and that's only asset that I'm taking with me. And my grandmother says when he was ill, he used to just lie in his bed, and suddenly he called her one day and insisted that she stands up. She said, "Why?" He said, "Don't you see Ahlul Bayt alayhi salatu wasalam are here? They are welcoming. Don't you see them?" And she said, "I can't see anyone." "You know, but you get up and stand up and respect them." And she stood up because her husband was telling her to stand up. And then he closed his eyes and departed from this world. So this is a reality that is going to happen. And there are verses of Holy Quran. There are certain realities that we come to know about them at this crucial time of our life. Because as Maulana Hayder Shirazi also mentioned, this is the time that we are able to see, and others who are around the deceased are not able to see. They can see these divine personalities, they can see the Malakul Maut, and they can see what is happening to them, from, as he very nicely described from the verses of Holy Quran. It begins from the toes and reaches to the eyes, and finally soul departs from closing of the eyes, and the person is declared as deceased.
I would like to pose the same question to Shaykh Hayder about the regrets that a dying person may have. Of course, the Sayyid mentioned that Imam Ali alayhi salam and the holy Ahlebait come to to the faithful, but they also come to the unfaithful, because I remember there is a saying by the Imam himself that man yamut yarani, whoever passes away sees me, whether they are faithful or unfaithful. But what are some of the regrets, Sheikh Haider, that you have seen people go through, or that the
Now,
narrations actually tell us that
yeah,
people who will die
again,
will regret?
we can go back to the Holy Quran. Quran mentions 9 regrets that everyone will have. It says, Ya laytani lam ushrik bi rabbi ahada. Ya laytani in Arabic means I wish. I wish I did not ascribe any partner to the Almighty. That is, I wasn't a mushrik. The second regret would be معهم فأفوز فوزا عظيما, that I wish I was with them, that I also had achieved a great success, that is with the Rasulullah, with the Ahlul Bayt. So many who were not with them, they will have this regret. Another regret that Quran mentions is Ya laytan ittakhaztu ma'a rasuli sabila, that I wish I had taken friendship with Rasulullah. I was a friend of him, of the Prophet. It says Ya waylata laytani lam attakhiz fulanan khalila. Now this is the one that applies to every one of us. Friendship matters. Who you take as your friend. If the friend was a good friend, a mu'min, a believer, he will definitely help me, guide me, be with me, support me. If the friend was bad, then that bad friend, that evil of his also will be transferred to me. So one of the regrets would be Ya waylata laytani lam attakhiz fulanan khalila, that the dying person would say that I wish I would never had taken that person as my friend. Ya laytani lam uta kitabiya. Now, one of the ways that I think it's in Surah Haqq, the Almighty says the presentation of the accounts will be in 3 ways. Either it will be presented to your right hand, to your left hand, from behind your head, and from before you. 4 ways the action report will be given. Now, here the regret would be Lam uta kitabiya. I wish my book wasn't given to me. My statement of account wasn't given to me. It's so bad. It's so horrible. Now, everyone is seeing my action report. That is another regret. Ya laytani kuntu turaba. I wish I was dust. Or, as mentioned earlier, I wish I was with Abu Turab. Ya laytani qaddamtu lihayati. Another regret is that I wish I was given another opportunity. One of our Asatid, Ayatullah Mishkini, Rahmatullah alayh, he always used to say in his Durus Akhlaq that we should have 2 lives, a life to come and see how to live, and then again to come and live the way we should be living. So over here, Quran says, I wish I was given another opportunity to live. Now that is just a regret and it will not happen. Ya laytana ata'na Allah wa ata'na Rasul. Another regret is we wish we were obedient to Allah, we were obedient to the Prophet. Or again, another regret that the ninth regret that Quran mentions is Ya laytana nuraddu wa la nukazzib bi ayati rabbina wa nakuna min al-mu'minin. We wish we did not deny the ayat and the signs of the Almighty and we were among the believers. Another regret. Another top up to what Maulana mentioned about how the actions or the acquaintances we have in this dunya, they return to us, and how we will be helped by the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. Now this incident is being reported by Shahid Mutahari. He says that in his house there was a basement, and one of the yeah, poets. His name is Nizam Rashti, a very famous Iranian poet. He had rented his house, and there, in the last hours of his death, he was paralyzed. He says to his daughter, I want you to sit by my head, hold my hand. And the moment I squeeze your hand, help me sit up and stand up. She says, why? He says, because I've been serving the Ahlebait, I wrote for them, I recited for them, and I am definite and I'm certain that they will come to greet me at the hour of my death. And I don't want to be lying back. And I want to sit up, stand up in respect of them, and then you help me do that because I can't do it myself. She says that I was sitting by my father holding his hand. All of a sudden, he squeezed my hand and I helped him sit up and stand up. And then he puts his hand on the chest and says, Umati Aghajun, you've come, my master. And then says, Assalamu alayk ya Aba Abdullah. And with that smile and that salam, he departs from this dunya. He was a poet. They says when he was buried, and 2-3 days after his burial, his loved ones, when they saw him, they said to him that, Nizam Rashti, where are you? How are you? He was a poet. From Barzakh, he recites this shair and says that, Shukr Khuda ra ki dar panah Husainam, alam azin behtar panah nadarad. That I thank Allah that I am in the shelter of Hussain, and there is no shelter better than that of Hussain. So even from that alam, he recites and he informs and gives the messages. So this MSN service, it doesn't cease to exist. It continues, both for mu'mineen and for munafiqeen, for kuffar. Mu'mineen, they are blessed, they benefit a lot more. And for the kuffar, it's only regret and regret.
Thank you for this beautiful explanation. We are down to our last 2 minutes. Before I allow you both to give me your concluding remarks, Sheikh, I would like you to briefly mention to us the once we pass away and the ihtidar moment has finished and the journey of the barzakh starts. Briefly, if you can tell us, what do we expect in the journey of barzakh?
Again, as mentioned repeatedly, it's the ayat and riwayat that give us so much of optimism and hope. Mu'mineen are blessed. قَدْ أَفْلَحَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ, the first ayah of Surah Al-Mu'minun. They are successful, they are prosperous. What makes them arrive at this prosperity and success? Tawheed, Adl, Nubuwwah, Imamah, Qiyamah. Have these fundamentals, believe in them, follow them, the teachings of Rasulullah and the Ahlul Bayt. There's nothing to worry. Be obedient to them. Sallu alayhi wa sallimu taslima. Submit to them a total submission. You will be safe. Nothing to worry. Inshallah.
Thank you. Syed, what would be your conclusion to today's program?
Yes, we should pray that the most, and this is the dua that Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib والسلام, taught to his companions, that the best dua we can make is to pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that our iman and faith remains intact until the last breath that we take and we depart this world on that iman. If we lose iman, we have lost everything. And I've seen people who were members of Ulema and great scholars' family, and somehow one of the children deviated from the right path, and he died as an atheist, although he was from a great scholars family. So there is no guarantee. Shaitan will be there to mislead us, and the best prayers that we can do for ourselves and our future generation and family members and beloved ones is that may Allah keep our iman intact until the last breath of our life.
Ilahi Ameen. Shaykh Hayder, please, if you can give me your concluding remark within 30 seconds, but also picking up from what the Sayyid said, if you can also mention to us the dua-e-ghariq that the Sayyid alluded to, that is mentioned by the 36th Imam, Imam Ja'far
Yeah.
as-Sadiq alayhi salam, martyrdom
One,
anniversary we are commemorating these days.
one of the du'as that every one of us recites daily, and it is wajib to recite 10 times, is Ihdinas Sirat al-Mustaqim. Guide us on the right path, or keep us firm on the right path. What is the right path? Rasulullah says, Aliyun huwa siratul mustaqim. Ali is the right path. Be with Ali, you will be safe. Be obedient to Rasulullah, you will be safe. Dua Ghariq also, it's Ya Allahu, Ya Rahmanu, Ya Rahim, Ya Muqallib al Qulub, Thabbit Qalbi ala Dinik. As mentioned by Maulana, Iman is also a blessing. It can be seized away like every other blessing. So we have to confirm it. We have to keep it with us, and that is by constant reminding and remembering and asking Allah to help. And throughout the month of Ramadan, we said that Imanan tubashiru bihi qalbi. Allah, give me an Iman that is with me, with my heart, stuck to my heart all the time. So we need that Iman, and the best dua that Imam teaches us is this dua Ghariq. Keep repeating Ya Allahu, Ya Rahmanu, Ya Rahim, Ya Muqallib al Qulub, O the revolver of hearts, Thabbit Qalbi ala Dinik, keep my heart firm on your religion.
On these beautiful points, Jazakumullah khairan to both my honorable guests for such an enlightening program. I have learnt a lot, and I hope the dear viewers have also learned so much. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increase your tawfiqat. Thank you so much, dear viewers, for staying with us to the end of the program. Join us again next week for another discussion with a new guest. Until then, I leave you all under the care and protection of Almighty Allah. Fi amanillah.